Sure. And 7-minute speeches. And we have POIs enabled, which means between the first minute and the 6th minute, you will be asked POIs, or you can ask POIs. Yeah, make sure to make use of POIs. Things that you need: notebooks and pens for your notes, stopwatch. Everybody needs to keep their own time. Everybody needs to keep track of what minute are they speaking on, so that they're able to come up with, let's say, ideas for themselves. And yeah, basically sharp minds, be smart, come with arguments. Let's do this. Let's remember all that we've done over the past sessions, and let's win today's debates. This is also for bragging points. Perfect. The debate, I hope everyone remembers. Just a quick clarify, just a quick, I don't know. Let's just redo it once again. There is Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Government Whip, Opposition Whip. Then the opposition replied, and the government replied. Everyone's clear? Everyone knows this? Any issues at all?
No.
Nope. Wonderful. So we're going to do the motion. So one thing you're going to see before the motion, there's going to be a slide called info slide. Now, what the info slide is basically it gives you information about the motion. So it explains the motion a little bit, and then we're going to give you the motion. So please be ready, have screenshots of both the info slide and the motion, so that you can refer to it whenever you're confused about what the motion is asking you to do. Cool? Perfect. Yep. The info slide for today's debate is, info slide helps you understand the motion. The info slide is, be ready, screenshot this. Okay, environmental movements are movements or groups who work together towards the ultimate goal of protecting the environment. Pro-capitalist idea advocacy basically means putting blame on consumers, which is asking people to buy sustainably, putting the responsibility of the environment on general citizens and blaming them for the environment. Is it clear? You're basically blaming the people who buy the products. Anti-capitalist advocacy is putting the blame on companies and asking companies to take up responsibility for environmental protection. It is asking the government to put heavy taxes upon the companies, or asking the companies to change their policy. So you're basically ignoring the responsibility of the people and asking companies to basically make sure they're more environmentally sustainable. You ask to make their manufacturing sustainable, all of that stuff. Does everyone get it? So pro-capitalist is making sure that people are responsible. Anti-capitalist making sure companies and corporates and all of these organizations who make things, or these companies, they are responsible towards protecting the environment. The debate for today is, the time right now is, wait, I don't know what's the Indian time. What is the time right now, sir?
4:26.
Yeah, it's 4:26. So at 4:30, let's say they begin. So there are 30 minutes of prep.
Yeah, 4:26, 4:56 is when they'll be back, right?
Yeah.
So the debate, the time right now is 4:26. The debate will start, say, the debate will start at 57. Am I glitching? Is my internet glitching?
No, you're not glitching.
No, it's
okay. I think my internet is sorted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We can't hear you anymore if you're saying anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. My internet was glitching. Perfect. So the motion is, this house believes that environmental movements should be pro-capitalist versus anti-capitalist in their policies and advocacy. Does everybody understand the motion? Yeah. Any questions at all, guys?
no.
Yeah. So these are the kind of motions that you're going to get in tournaments as well. So we made it slightly more difficult than what we're normally giving you. Yeah. Go to your prep rooms, go to your breakout rooms and prep. We will be back in 30 minutes. I'll just put a timer for 30 minutes.
Kind of animation.
Yeah, no. I'll explain that before we begin. So hi guys, welcome to the debate that we're going to have today. We have two sides, proposition, opposition. I hope that you guys have your speaker rules ready. There's three things to be careful of before we begin. Firstly, before you begin your speech, ensure that you're completely audible. That is, ask if you're audible. And when I say yes, then you probably begin your speech. Second, the default way of asking POIs is in the chat. So what you'll do is you'll type in POI in the chat after the first minute and before the last minute. If the speaker says yes, then you can unmute and ask a POI. But at no point will you directly unmute yourself during a speaker's speech and ask a POI. That's really distracting towards the speaker. So just type in POI, not the question, just the word POI. If the speaker says yes, then you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Is that clear?
So
perfect. Next thing that you're going to do. Yeah, but in terms of timing, Sky is self-time. So like make sure that you are having a track of your own time. I'll keep a track of your time. But if like, let's say my timer doesn't work, then just make sure that your timer works.
Apithav, if you like, I can put a stopwatch on the screen,
Oh
share
yeah,
screen.
that would really help.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just get that going.
Yeah. Also, the length of the speech is 7 minutes. You don't have to speak for 7 minutes, but it's really like, preferable if you do complete, like go all the way and complete the time. But if you're really uncomfortable and you can't do 7 minutes, you won't get like an automatic loss if you don't do 7 minutes. So it's fine. But make sure that there is enough content within your speech for like the debate to be done on your side. Yes, Manik, your question.
So what if I'm on my Word file and referring to my point while somebody else raises a POI and I want to take it?
Just make sure the chat is open now. So it's on your computer. You can have the chat separately open, even if your Zoom isn't. Like the chat can be in pop-out box. Just make sure you're looking at the chat when you're speaking. That's one thing. Perfect. So now that we have all of that clear, we'd like the first speaker to begin whenever they're ready. Keith sir, the stopwatch is ready. Yes, whenever the speaker.
Can you guys see the stopwatch? Apithav, is it visible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so when the speaker begins, I shall start.
What, sir?
The Prime Minister, when you begin, I shall start the time.
I'm the Prime Minister.
So please begin.
Yeah, whenever the PM is ready.
All right. Yes, I'm ready.
Can everyone hear the PM?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, sir. You haven't started it yet.
Yeah, it started the moment you start speaking.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for all of you guys, please do come, do a mic check, and then the moment you start speaking, I'll start the timer. Don't depend or wait for.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nihal Solanki, the Prime Minister, and with Deputy Prime Minister Shaisha, and with the Whip Speaker Kabir, and the Reply Speaker Samaira, says that this House believes environmental movements should be pro-capitalist versus anti-capitalist in their policies and advocacy. First, let's learn these three terms legitimately. What is environmental movements? Movements or groups who work towards the ultimate goal of protecting the environment. Pro-capitalist advocacy, putting the blame on consumers, asking people to buy suitably, putting the responsibility on general citizens and blaming them for the environment. Anti-capitalist advocacy, putting the blame on companies and asking companies to take up responsibility for environmental protection, asking the government to put heavy taxes on them, asking companies to change their policy. Now, let's come to the main topic. My first argument is that people are the only ones who form a company, and they are the only ones who form the company, and these are the only ones who make industries, and then these people then produce harmful products and pollute the environment by throwing the waste in water bodies, using underground water, and producing harmful pollutants in the sky, which are harmful to our environment. And when they produce waste in water, this even harms the aquatic life in the water. My second argument is that if these people are not educated, these other people who are the buyers who buy the products of these companies formed by the people, they should have the knowledge of what are they buying. If they buy products harmful to environment, for example, crackers, they should be aware that it pollutes the environment. Now let's take an example. The Bhopal gas tragedy estimates vary on the death toll. The official immediate death toll was 2,259. In 2008, the government of Madhya Pradesh had paid compensation to family members of 3,787 victims killed in the gas release and to 5,74,366 injured victims. A government affidavit in 2006 stated that the leak caused 5,58,125 injuries, including 38,478 temporary partial injuries, and approximately 3,900 severely and permanently disabling injuries. Others estimated that 8,000 died within 2 weeks, and another 8,000 or more have since died from gas-related diseases. The cause of the disaster remains under debate. The Indian government and local activists argue that slack management and deferred maintenance created a situation where routine pipe maintenance caused a backflow of water into a MIC tank, triggering the disaster. Union Carbide Corporation, UCC, argues that water entered the tank through an act of sabotage. The owner of the factory, UCIL, was majority owned by UCC, with Indian government controlled banks and the Indian public holding at 49.1% stake. In 1989, UCC paid $470 million, equivalent to $860 million in 2019, to settle litigation stemming from the disaster. In 1994, UCC sold its stake in UCIL to Everyday Industries India Limited, EIIL, which subsequently merged with McLeod Russell India Limited. Everyday ended cleanup on the site in 1998. Then it terminated its 99-year lease and turned over control of the site to the state government of Madhya Pradesh. Dow Chemical Companies purchased UCC in 2001, 17 years after the disaster. Civil and criminal cases filed in the United States against UCC and Warren Anderson, UCC CEO at the time of the disaster, were dismissed and redirecting to Indian courts on multiple occasions between 1986 and 2012, as the US court focused on UCIL being a standalone entity of India. Civil and criminal cases were also filed in the District Court of Gopal, India, involving UCC, UCIL, and UCC CEO Anderson. In June 2010, 7 Indian nationals who were UCIL employees in 1984, including the former UCIL chairman, were convicted in Bhopal of causing death by negligence and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment and fine of about $2,000 each. The maximum punishment allowed by Indian law. All were released on bail shortly after the verdict. And 8 former employees was also convicted but died before the judgment was passed. This example shows that people were not educated or knew anything about the gas. These people were not aware. And for people, I refer to the labor which were working. They should have known that we are working in a hazardous place and our lives are also at risk. At this even shows that the irresponsibility of government officials led to such a disaster. These government officials were also people. Now let's take another example. Government has banned crackers, but the Indian people are buying them. Delhi, let's take an example of Delhi. Delhi in 1990 had a good air quality, but now till 2019, it has such a bad air quality. Now, coming to my third argument, this is a major problem. And how can we solve it? We can solve it by giving them education. And this is our earth. We are the only ones who are going to suffer it. We are the people of this earth, and we are the only ones who are going to die on this. And I would also like to say that we are the people who form the companies, and then we produce harmful products, and then we are the only ones who buy it, and then we are the only ones who die. My last argument. People are the only ones who buy
You know the
companies
time limit, Nihal.
and make products.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be their responsibility? I shall like the opposition teams to answer my questions. Thank you.
कौन दे रहा है? एक मिनट. Nihal,
Yep.
yeah, just make sure that like for everyone who is debating, guys, don't go above 7:30. I stop writing at
Okay.
7:30. At 7, I cannot like write anymore after 7:30. So when you see 7:30, just end your speeches, okay? Try to conclude through 7.
No,
7:30
I
is
think
when,
so. I think so. When you were explaining, it was
Yeah, yeah.
kind of like a lag or so. So I couldn't
Oh,
hear
okay.
it.
Yeah. I said,
So,
I said
like,
minutes,
I thought it was kind of 8 because we had discussed. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew that we had to add. I think so. Your voice was lagging.
Okay, my fault then. But 7:30, don't exceed it, okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
alright.
We'd like to begin the next speaker from side opposition. Yeah.
But like 8 is fine, right? For the.
No, it's not. 7:30 is when.
Alright, alright.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay. Environmental pollution is an incurable disease. It can only be prevented. Barry Commoner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this debate. This house believes that environmental movements should be pro-capitalist versus anti-capitalist in their policies and advocacy. We are present here to speak against the motion. I have Prisha Shokan as the deputy leader of the opposition, Manik Mehra as the opposition whip, and Uday as the opposition reply. And I, Nivan Jain, will be the leader of opposition. Allow me to introduce the main terms of the debate first. An environmental movement can be defined as a social or political movement for the conservation of environment or for the improvement of the state of the environment. Policy is a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by an organization of individual. Advocacy means the public support for our recommendation of a particular cause or policy. Before stating my points, I would like to rebut Nihal. Does the cost of human life actually make up the loss of lives in the Gopal gas tragedy? I believe that the company should be held responsible for polluting the environment than by blaming the citizens. The Coca-Cola Company, PepsiCo, and Nestle have been named as the companies with the worst records in a new report by environmental campaigners, Break Free from Plastic, with thousands of plastic items discovered across dozens of countries in 2020. The brands should give customer guarantees as to how they are trying to save the environment. People will automatically be aware of the environmental crisis and the steps taken by the companies to solve it. And that will encourage the people to save the environment. If someone gives you something that's bad for you, who is to be blamed as the first person? The person who gave it to you or you yourself? And Nihal had a POI, but he didn't write in the chat. So should I?
Okay, I had. Okay.
Should the timer be kept going?
Yeah, the timer
Or
keeps.
Nihal raised his hand. He didn't
Timer
write
keeps
in the chat. So should I pick it up or?
Yeah, the timer keeps going throughout. You don't stop the timer. Yeah. Nihal, if you have a POI, just write POI in the chat if he accepts it. Nivan, you can continue if there is none then.
Yeah, that's it.
Nivan, is that it for your speech?
No, there is a PO.
Well, Nihal.
There is a PO.
Nihal's POI says people are the only one who buy, open companies and make products. Shouldn't it be their responsibility? Well, first of all, if someone gives a chocolate to a fat boy, he will eat it. Now, who are you going to blame? the fat boy, or the person who gave it to him? As I just said that in my third point. Thank you.
Yeah, Nivan, is your speech done?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Apritan, maybe move to the next speaker.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. The way that POI is supposed to ask is you're supposed to type in POI, the letter, the word POI in the chat. The speaker is going to see the word POI. They're going to be like, yes. And then you can unmute and ask a POI. Also, the timer doesn't stop at any point.
Got it.
Okay, perfect. The next speaker from that government. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes.
You are.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Saisha Chandrani, and I am the Deputy Prime Minister. We, as today's opposition team, have some points to address. As our second speaker, I would like to add to what Nihal said. But before that, I would like to rebut Nivan. Nivan said that brands aren't stating the fact that they are trying to save the environment, but actually many big companies have written it on their packaging that they are recyclable and they are safe to use. And also the examples you gave, that if someone gives something bad to a person, the person would accept it. It's the person's fault. The person should consider the fact that it is bad for him or her, and they should then take whatever they're being given. I would also like to define a few key terms that I would be speaking about later. First, environmental movement. It is also referred to as ecology movement, and it is a diverse philosophical, social, and political movement which addresses the environmental issues that are going on. Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership um, and the operation for profit by a company. Pro-capitalist advocacy means putting the blame on the consumers and asking the people to buy sustainable products. Anti-capitalist advocacy means putting the blame on companies and asking companies to take up responsibility for environmental protection. One of the most frustrating things about the climate crisis is the fact that every person is being blamed. People with every new coming year, another person is blamed for the crisis that is going on. Instead of trying to prevent it, the blame is passed on to different people. But I believe that it's the citizens' fault that they are not protecting their environment. Companies have to earn a profit from the products they are selling. If they don't sell a particular product, they won't earn profit, which would then result in the collapse of the economy, which is a very important factor of the country. It is basically one of the things that a country is made up of. There are certain big companies that are also trying to do good for the environment. For example, the Apple company, their products have started using less power, and they are investing in some very good ideas for carbon removal. Their voice assistant, which is Siri, it runs on recycled aluminium, and they have also started producing the eco-friendly products which are 100% recycled aluminium. And their stores, offices, and data centers have 100% renewable energy. It is the people's fault in the climate change. People do not care about the environment, and they keep littering. If they have to throw something out, instead of recycling it, they just toss it out in the dustbin without considering it even once. People also use non-biodegradable products. If a company is providing them with a certain product, instead of investing in it, or they had a POI, POI accepted.
Yes, I wanted to ask if how does Siri work on recycled aluminium? You haven't given any explanation.
Sorry.
So do I have to repeat the POI?
Wait, I got it. So the company, the Apple company has stated on their website and on the product back of the product box that Siri is running on they are running on recyclable energy. It Because all the products have started using less power, and Apple's headquarters have also started using solar energy. So yeah, I started now. People also cut trees for paper, which is a very big issue, and paper is something that's used so easily and wasted so easily without even considering how much importance it holds. Then people also have to consider the fact that huge brands, again, I'll give some more examples, like Tesla. The Model 3 of Tesla, it produces 60% less carbon dioxide emission as compared to a regular car that is used in by daily is used daily. So, and then Microsoft's global operations have been 100% net carbon neutral. The company charges a carbon fee to all business groups, and then Manik has a POI accepted.
Yes. In response to Uday's POI, you said that in the product box, it was written that it's using lesser energy. First of all, what you said still didn't explain the why how Siri was using lesser energy. And second of all, how can Siri have a product box if it is a software?
The Apple product box in which the Apple product comes states that their products have started using less energy, and as I said earlier, that Apple products require less power to function. So that's one thing related to the Siri. So then Disney is also determined to please companies that have made it a giant thing about using zero greenhouse gas emission policies. It is working at reducing the indirect greenhouse gas emissions through the reduction of electrical consumption. It also has a zero waste policy that which means that none of their products end in landfills. Maybe maybe one out of their 10 products would end in a landfill, but that too in a very rare case. All the products that go into the Disney trash cans will be recycled or be reused. Disney is also working on saving water. So many of the Disney branches have stopped using the water rides. I hope that my speech has convinced you that it is the citizens to blame for for all these climate changes and not the big companies, because they're contributing to the benefit of the environment.
Next speaker. Opposition's deputy. Are you ready? Opposition deputy, are you ready?
DLO, are you ready?
Where is the opposition deputy?
Prisha? That's Prisha.
Yeah, Prisha, are you there? Prisha?
Trisha,
She might be having a connectivity issue.
Yeah,
She
because
said it
there's
was
been-
raining out there.
Yeah, so
She
might have
said it
been a
was
power
raining
cut
out
or
there.
something.
can
Yeah.
you call her and check? What?
Nihal, can you call her?
Yeah, I'll just call her.
Thank you.
Also, I couldn't register. My site crashed again. So never mind.
Sir, I think so. Like it's
Hi, sir.
really
Yeah, okay, yeah. Prashant, please, are you ready?
Sir, I had a question.
Yes, Manik, kya hua?
Sir, in a POI, if anybody says something wrong repeatedly, then can I argue with them?
No. You're just supposed to ask the question and have them answer. That's it. You can't again say anything. Cool.
Sir,
Prashant,
if
when you
they
ready.
say something wrong,
Doesn't matter.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How is Saisha supposed to explain how CD runs on aluminium?
Yeah. That's a debate question. Let's just do that after the debate. Cool. Prisha, whenever ready.
Good evening, everyone. I am Prisha Shokant, and I am the Deputy Leader of Opposition. I would like to start my speech by rebutting what Nihal said. Like Nihal said, if people don't know what they're getting into, how can they be held responsible there? Now, beginning with my speech, companies have a responsibility to ensure that their activities are carried out in a sustainable and suitable manner. For a company to continue in an ethical manner, it must respect the planet by limiting its impact on the environment as much as possible. If a company works towards the environment's benefit, it improves the brand image as it stands out as a green corporate, which can improve the company's reputation. It can also improve customer loyalty. People prefer brands who have environmental concerns and they are more inclined to buy from them in the future. It also differentiates the company. If a company spreads awareness, it gains more publicity. Many corporates are taking initiative in many areas where, uh, such as pollution prevention, energy efficiency, economically oriented design, supply chain management, and industrial ecology. An example is the Levi company. Levi is another company that has been actively involved in environmental program. Its approach is to reduce their environmental footprint by acting in environmental causes. Levi has trademarked their water-less campaign by using less water when manufacturing their products. 1 billion liters of water have been saved by this program and hope to improve more in manufacture by the manufacturing to improve the manufacturing process by 2020. Sustainable development objectives are to cover different aspects of social development, environmental protection, and economic growth. These are the main ones. I would like to take Nihal's POI.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, as you say that people are inherent for the environmental crisis.
I can't hear him.
I think he lagged out.
He's not audible. You should just continue, Prashant.
As I was saying, sustainable development objectives are to cover different aspects of social development, environmental protection, and economic growth. These are the major points. Many companies like KPMG also focuses on corporate environmental responsibility. Saisha, I would like to take a POI.
So as you said, Levi is doing good for the environment. That's literally in our favor. That it's not the companies to blame for, the environmental crisis.
Um, it sets an example. That's all I can say. I would like to end my speech here. It sets an example for other companies.
Hello.
Yeah, Nihal, the speech is done. Sorry. Perfect. We'd like to call on the next speaker from side government. You're here.
Hello?
Be audible.
Yeah.
Just a second. Regarding my POI, should I ask the next speaker that?
Yeah, I mean, see, you were stuck, so they continue their speech. So whoever the next speaker is, you can ask.
All right, fine.
Yeah. Shall I start?
Yep.
All right. As the Prime Minister said, Nihal, that the public, bureaucrats and politicians have their own responsibility and role to play as they are the ones who make the company. Also, how many workers in the industry are not educated and are not aware of what they're making. That's why one point, we should create better education. Second, that is why it is our responsibility to buy products which are not harmful to the environment. As the Deputy Prime Minister, Sasha said, that one of the most frustrating facts about the climate crisis is that earlier actions could have prevented it. With every passing year of inaction, the situation gets worse. And also how companies need to earn a profit. And if they don't, the economy will go down. That's the other reason why anti-capitalist advocacies will not work. In the fight against climate change, every voice matters. Again, why we, the public, are the ones who need to take action. As Nivan said, that the companies should inform the people how they are helping the environment. By giving a description box on the packaging, aren't they using more resources and wasting them? Also, how if someone gives you something which is harmful for the environment and you use it, who will you blame? The giver or the receiver? This argument is flawed, as how many people have the choice of buying the product, and that's why we should inform the public. All of the products that harm the environment will be shut down. Also, how if the public is informed, the people in the companies will try their best to reduce waste and stop using materials that harm the environment. Prisha said that the companies should try to protect the environment as much as they can, but they need to have profit as well, so they can pay each employee in the company. That's why another reason anti-capitalist advocacies will not work. Prisha said that Levi's has taken part in many environmental movements. Yes, they have, but they do still use machines and do many other things that harm the environment. That is, those are multiple reasons why anti-capitalist advocacies will not work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the speech. We'd like to call on the opposition whip.
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible, man. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The esteemed chair in the House of Delegates. Today, I, Manik Mehra, will be speaking against the topic that this House believes that environmental movements should be pro-capitalist versus anti-capitalist in their policies and advocacies. Now, before getting to my arguments, I like to rebut the opposition team. I like to rebut Kabir on what he said about uneducated people. If you give a baby a candy, wouldn't he eat it? Isn't he is uneducated to understand that it would harm both his health and his mouth. Now, I'd like to accept Siddharth's POI. I mean, Nihal's POI.
Good, it's me, Nihal. My question is that if you think that the companies are inherent regarding the environmental crisis, don't you think that these companies, that the government get a profit from these companies, and and if people will not buy products of these companies, it would have an impact on the GDP and economy of a country? Why do you think and how?
So yes, as Nivan already said in his speech, that does money actually come for the cost of human life? As you also said in the Bhopal gas tragedy, that the company gave the people compensation, but does that make up for the loss of the person and mostly in most household the loss of the bread earner? Now, coming to my point. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, industrial and commercial energy use from fuels to power boils and produce steam using gasoline to power vehicles accounts for nearly 30% of total US greenhouse gas emissions. Uh, you may be surprised by some specific examples of the ways that the working world damages the environment. Heating and air conditioning systems used in offices pump greenhouse gases emissions into the atmosphere and use a vast amount of electricity. Secondly, many buildings are built from materials that don't come from renewable resources. Thirdly, office buildings have a huge appetite for electricity to power lighting, air conditioning, power computers, printers, and photocopiers. Equipment be left Equipment may be left on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when no one's working. Offices can consume vast amounts of paper, even uh, even with more offices recycling paper, a large amount of paper waste still goes to landfill sites of or incinerators. And yes, as Nehal and rebutting Nehal, the companies use more paper than people on a daily basis. Let's now, I'd like to compare two countries, Sweden and Saudi Arabia. Sweden, a country that has strict laws and keeps a strict check on all of its companies by enforcing laws and punishments, while Saudi Arabia has laid back rules and does not keep that stricted check on its companies. Saudi Aramco, the most polluting company, is from Saudi Arabia. We can see how this impacts the government and pollutes it. The Saudi Arabia has an AQI index of 385, while Sweden has a much lesser AQI index of 51. Uh, Now, as I said before, if you give a baby a chocolate and he eats it and it damages his health, who will be blamed? You, right? In the same way, when terrorists crashed the plane in the Twin Towers, were the people who drove the plane and hijacked the plane uh, held accountable? No, right? We still remember Osama bin Laden for being the bad guy. Now, I'd like to take Nihal's POI again.
Okay, if you're saying that the companies are responsible for the environmental crisis, can you please just tell me 10 names of such companies who are responsible and why are they responsible?
10 companies which are responsible and why aren't they responsible? One would be, as Kabir said, Levi is still using a lot of machines. Secondly, uh, Apple. A lot of people are not buying. A lot of people are buying iPhone 11s, which still are not updated to the balance to the power balance saving mode, as Aisha said. Third, Samsung, with its upcoming new robot, a lot of carbon chemicals are being used. Fourthly, Sony, it's making a lot of gaming consoles and TVs such as PS5s, which require a high amount of electricity and a lot of carbon emissions and use a lot of electricity. For fifthly, a lot of Wi-Fi companies such as Starlink, which causes a lot of space pollution and space traffic, and yes, and IKEA, which is famous for its wooden tables, is which is famous for its wooden tables, cuts down a lot of trees. Chipotle, which also cuts down a lot of trees to make its special dishes. Walmart as well. And Kabir's POI. Yes.
Yes, you are saying that many companies are producing a lot of waste. Yes, they are, but don't they need to create profit? How are they supposed to help the environment and make profit at the same time? It becomes very difficult for the companies, and how they do many things to prevent environment pollution, but still they aren't making enough profit. How do you fix that?
Yeah. So as I said before, and I'm repeating again, that um, wait, sir, am I supposed to answer Kabir's POI or Saisha's POI?
You're almost done with time, so you can probably end your speech.
Oh, okay, sir. I end the speech.
Thank you so much for that. So you're not supposed to accept every single POI that's offered. You can also say no. But if you accept a POI, answer that POI, then probably then move on perhaps to the next POI and decide. Perfect. Now that we have that,
So,
we'd like to start the opposition.
you can't ask POIs to the reply speaker, right?
Yeah, no POIs to the replies.
No POIs. Um, my name is Udara Ananda, and I will be the reply speaker for the opposition. First, I'd like to start with my first point. And do the people really control the company, or is it the person who controls everything in the companies? And second, UCIL is the only one company. What about the other companies? That there are thousands of them, while the government only mentions one. And why? Eh,
Wait, I can't hear Uday if he's speaking. Can anyone else hear Uday?
He's on mute.
No.
yeah, wait, I accidentally pressed the mute button.
Okay.
So from which point did you not hear me?
Just restart your speech. You just were like barely 10 seconds. That's fine. Just restart it.
Okay. Replies. I'm the reply speaker for the. What?
Can you read the timer, please, sir? Can we reset? Yeah, perfect.
My name is Dharananda, and I will be the reply speaker for the opposition. My first point being, do the people really control the company, or is the person who controls everything in the company? Second, UCIL is only one company that the government mentioned. There are thousands of others. Why did the government only mention one? Third, I would like to say that the government would just keep rebutting themselves. It was like when the Prime Minister said that companies are made by people, while the DPM said, the Prime Minister said, the companies are made by the people, and that is why the people should be blamed for the mistakes the company makes. But on the other hand, the Deputy Prime Minister said the companies are trying to fix the environment. Then how can the people be blamed for that? There is no way the people can be blamed for fixing the environment. And why does the government want to blame them for destroying it when they're actually fixing it? This is what the government was saying. And the whip, I'd like to say that the whip was basically on our side. Who said they would shut down the companies that are destroying the environment. That is what we want to do, because the companies that are destroying the environment are destroying people's livelihood and their lives. They're saving their livelihood, but are killing people and destroying other people's livelihood, because there is no time for people to spare, and the people spend so much money trying to fix the environment, planting trees and other various ways. The people are fixing it, and the environment and the animals are losing homes and dying. Also, the environment is very important to us because trees are the lungs of the planet, and everyone, and animals, plants, all of them. They're all very important. Lives are always better than livelihood because they're always more important. Hmm? And livelihoods and lives are being lost at the same time. That's even worse. Yes. And why we should win the debate? It's because we gave very good rebuttals, and instead of rebutting our teammates and ourselves, we were actually saying something that is important. Hmm? The government even said that firecrackers are being made by the are being bought by the people when they are banned by the government. But why are the companies making the firecrackers in the first place? The people are buying what the companies are selling. The people aren't buying and making themselves. They don't have enough resources, and the resources come from our environment. And I think we should conserve those resources. Plus, people are the ones who fix the environment, not destroy it, and we agree with this. This is something that is very important. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the debate, guys. So we'll just now talk about who won the debate, why did they win the debate, what we could have done
Sir,
better.
what about the opposition?
Sir,
Sir, what about the government?
I am
Sir, what about the
Amara,
government's reply? What about the government reply?
There's a reply. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My bad. Completely my bad. Yes, the gov reply, please. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, House of the Delegates. I am Samaira Kalra, the reply speaker of the government team. This House believes it is the duty of every individual from every cross section of the society. Every drop of water makes the mighty ocean. So everybody should do their might to keep the environment clean. Common man, public, bureaucracy, and politicians have their own responsibility and role to play. Blaming others is just to shrug away one's responsibility. Analyzing the current situation of our country, a lot of problem is going on. Government do not have any support from the under poverty line and the lower class. Only the middle class people and the upper class people are the support for government. We will see people as they vote for money, and people are so unqualified and uneducated people occupying the higher position. Now, conclusion is where each and every human being has the responsibility in our society and nation. Then only it can change. As it continues as it continues. So, youngsters should have more responsibility and awareness about our society. Solving environmental issues should be a duty of every person. It is the responsibility of us that we think about our environment. First of all, we give information to the youngsters. Solving environmental issues should be a duty of every person. It is the responsibility of us that we think about our environment. We often celebrate Environmental Day and other days, but we forget that actually Environmental Day is about keeping the environmental safe in our daily activities. People are always throwing garbage without considering what the product really is. Ship meaningful actions take place and are focused on individual behavior, which makes global warming more controversial while letting the actual entries causing climate change off the hook. Finally, there is a worry that any discussion of individual responsibility only serves to play into the hands of the political right. This is a red hot concern. Concentrating on the influence of fossil fuel companies in the failure to reduce emissions means focusing on where the supply chain starts and the push to keep extracting fossil fuels. But we can also look at where it ends. The people who consume the final products from fossil fuels, and more specifically, those who consume a fair bit more than the rest among rich people who do not have far more choice in how they spend their money. If you're rich enough to afford a big car, you're also rich enough to not afford a big car. If the rest among rich if the rest among the lifestyle that rich people choose to lead are wasteful, they definitely have responsibility over this. At present, humans are putting an estimated 9 billion metric tons of carbon into the atmosphere each year by burning fossil fuels and other 1.5 billion through deforestation and other land cover changes. Of this human produced carbon, while the ocean absorbs about 2.5 billion metric tons per year, a net 5 billion metric tons of human produced carbon remain in the atmosphere each year, raising the global average of carbon dioxide, which concentrates by about 2.3 parts per million year. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that speech. And thank you so much for the debate, guys. Honestly, I think that you guys were really good, especially comparisons to how you guys started in the beginner ones. I genuinely think you guys are incredible, but also there's just a lot more to do still. There's just so much room for progress. So I do hope that you guys keep debating even after this. And I do hope that whatever we have planned for you in terms of tournaments and stuff, that you do participate and you do learn, because there is just tons of potential in this room that's still unexplored. In terms of the debate, I'm going to do a very simple thing. Firstly, I'm going to give you general comments. That is what this debate had, what this debate missed. Then I'm going to announce the winner, and then I'm going to tell you as to why the team that won the debate really did. So firstly, general comments. I feel like a large chunk of the debate, like you guys now have become really good at responding to material. That is, your responses are incredibly good. But I think, like, unlike last time where you were good at, let's say, constructive matter or positive matter, you aren't able to really, come up with constructive positive matter of your own and tell me as to why is your world better. So that sort of comparative has to be done now, where you compare the opposition's world to your world, and you say, this is why our world is better, this is why the opposition world is not. I think a lot of you just went on with your own arguments, and at a point at which you don't explain to me as to why your world is better, it just becomes difficult for me to then, decide in that scenario who perhaps, does more harm, who does less harm, and how does the debate play out. Also, it's like everyone to just turn on the cameras. That actually really helps. But yeah, in terms of I really want you guys to focus a lot more on coming up with positive argumentation, coming up with proper reasoning, and telling me exactly why that argument is important. I think that is extremely important. The second thing that I really want you guys to do is I think in terms of your responses, right? Remember how we practiced multiple types of responses? Is to just do those a lot more. So not just respond to arguments and tell me why those arguments don't make sense, but tell me these are the different responses that I have to those arguments. This is why those responses stand or don't. In terms of the debate, who won? So on a really, really, really close call, the debate goes to side. You really want me to say it? Or do we just not declare the winner? Let's just not declare the winner.
I think you should.
Okay, yeah. On a really close, go on. On a really close call, the debate goes to side government. Like on a really, really close call. But I think opposition was still incredible in a lot of.
You were lagging. Who won?
Only one. Your team won.
What?
You won. Your team won.
Yeah, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, just a few general comments for everyone. I felt like, so I was gonna penalize certain teams for using excessive use of internet, but then in the end, I realized everyone is using the internet. So then it just didn't make sense to penalize one team. But then in general debates, just remember, guys, to not use the internet as much. But as to why the side that won the debate did win. So let's just look at how the debate played out and what essentially the debate transformed into. Firstly, it's in debate, like non-important parts within the debate and like why they don't matter. So first speaker comes up and first speaker like gives me an extensive idea of what the Bhopal gas tragedy looks like, right? The first speaker tells me that basically that since people make up these companies, people should be held responsible because so much damage was done. I think the rebuttals coming in from the first speaker from opposition, the yellow, are absolutely fair. That is, the yellow tells me a couple of things. Yellow tells me first is that even though, let's say, certain people are responsible, these are still companies that cause a tragedy. So therefore, companies have to be accountable. I think that's fair for them to say that is the Gopal gas tragedy was caused by a company, and because of that, companies should be accountable. Secondly, they tell me that companies like Coca-Cola cause a lot of, let's say, pollution in terms of plastic pollution and stuff. So therefore, Coca-Cola should essentially be reprimanded. And this follows down the line, right? Where I think most speakers just focus a lot of their time in terms of telling me as to there are so many companies that, you know, do a lot of these things where they pollute and they cause so much damage. And that's why these companies should be held responsible. While I agree with those ideas, I think the whip from government side is able to resolve that for me. So Kabir does like two things here. Firstly, Kabir is able to tell me that generally, if you don't focus upon people, that is, you don't tell people about the responsibilities, in the longer term, it becomes difficult for you to combat climate change because people don't realize the responsibilities. But second, that he does, and I think this is the most important part that perhaps wins your debate, is to say that at the point at which people become more aware about their responsibilities towards the environment, they can then boycott the products. And because they boycott the products, companies won't be able to do all the bad things that opposition is talking about. So the idea coming from side government is, if you put the focus on people, you not only cause, let's say, benefits in terms of people becoming more aware, it also causes benefits in terms of corporation then becoming, let's say, more and more careful about the kind of work they do in terms of environment. Because then what happens is corporations can't simply go and pollute. For example, if you believe that Coca-Cola has a huge problem with plastics, you boycott Coca-Cola, and therefore a lot of that problem is solved. This does the really important thing for me in the debate. That is, while opposition is able to like prove to me to a certain extent that, yeah, if we perhaps, let's say, go after companies might essentially do some good, and they'd never talk about essentially people. Government is able to prove to me that if you go after people, you not only do benefits in terms of people becoming more responsible, but you also benefit in terms of the corporations becoming more responsible. And this is a very important idea coming from them that is just never rebutted from side opposition. So this idea stands at the end of the debate, and that's why it becomes so important for me. I think secondly, and I think this is just a minor comment in terms of other things that were spoken in the debate. The second speaker talks extensively about there are some companies that say use eco-friendly stuff, for example, Apple and Tesla, and that's why these companies are great. I don't get that argument, especially because just because some companies are doing well in terms of eco-friendly products, does that mean all companies are doing it? We spoke about hasty generalizations, right? And then the opposition also, just the opposition, like the deputy also comes forward and just talks about the same thing in terms of telling me that if companies essentially are becoming more eco-friendly, which I don't understand as to how does that really benefit the opposition side, given that it's still essentially about companies not doing well generally. So I think because government is able to prove to me that focus on people is extremely important because it causes people to become more aware and therefore it leads to environmental, let's say, betterment in longer term. And secondly, they're also able to prove to me that companies in longer term are able to, let's say, their effects on the pollution environment are able to curb down, because of which government wins the debate for me. But again, it's a really close margin because I feel like this debate has generally lacked a lot in terms of content. And I feel like there could have been a lot more that have been said from both sides. So therefore, it becomes a really close margin because of one thing someone said, that debate goes in one side. But honestly, I think all of you guys are incredible with your speeches. All of you had insane amount of progress. And I am so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you.
Apritam, they all did it for the first time, literally at
Yeah.
this level. So for starters, I think, right? They did a great job, right?
Absolutely incredible. Like, you guys were incredible.
Okay.
Way better than the first time I debated. So
One thing. So once everybody's left, can I like stay over? I didn't hear any feedback. I was having network issues.
okay. No, that's okay.
All right. So thank you so much, children. And more than anything, thank you, Apritam. You have been fantastic. You've been really incredible. And I'm so glad you agreed to participate and mentor these kids. So we're lucky to have you. Children, is there anybody who has any query, any question from Apritam? Please feel free to ask him.
Sir, could you please repeat why we lost?
Oh, so the reason that you lost is simple, right? Government says, I'll just repeat this to Kabir as well. So Kabir, this is also like why they have feedback. Yeah. Government's major idea is when they come up and talk about that Bhopal gas tragedy and all happened because of which you should punish people, opposition's response is that these are companies, which is fine. And then opposition's entire argument is just based upon this one idea, right? That is, corporations are doing a lot of damage in terms of pollution, in terms of the kind of waste they produce, and therefore corporations should be held responsible for it. What the whip is able to do for me in the debate is say that when you focus upon people, that is, when you focus upon individuals and the general public, you make them more aware about the environment. What that does is, A, it makes these individuals care a lot more about the environment themselves. So they're likely to litter less, they're likely to, all the benefits, all the harms that were illustrated in the previous speaker about how they're, littering a lot and as to how they're using, let's say, a lot of paper and all of that thing you're able to curb. But secondly, if these people become more environmentally conscious, they're able to, let's say, put pressure on corporations also to become more environmentally friendly. Because what they will do is once these corporations are that environmentally friendly, they stop buying their products. If they stop buying their products, it means that the corporations themselves, it becomes difficult for them to continue to do what they were doing, which means government is able to prove to me that if you focus on people, you not only benefit the people side of the environment, but you also benefit the corporation side of the environment, that you make both of them, more economically sustainable. Whereas opposition is able to prove to me that, sure, you might be able to essentially make corporations a little more sustainable, but never are able to prove to me as to why do people generally become okay and why that sort of thing is better off. So because of that simple reason, the government is able to win the debate. Does that make sense, Manik?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Apritam.
Can you give like my feedback about my speech?
Yeah, I'll do individual feedbacks also. Let's just do like per individuals, every speaker, okay? Let's talk about Nehal. Nehal, I think that your speech was wonderful, right? Because it has a lot of content, but I also think it was wonderful because you had a lot of content from the internet. So maybe next time when you give your speech, try to less like be reliant upon the internet. So in debates, the fact you really went into the depth of the facts about the Bhopal gas strategy, which isn't as important. Like, why does it matter in the debate who was penalized and who bought the company and who did what? Like, what's important is what did they do and what is the damage that they did, right? So I think emphasis on that was a lot more important. The second is, I agree with the entire idea that you went through, that is people make up companies and therefore companies would have essentially, that's why people are responsible. But I think once rebuttal has been done from LO, and I'll talk about LO here, I think LO has wonderful rebuttals, but then I think that's all LO has. LO never really moves into the positive argumentation. You give me 2 minutes of rebuttals where you talk about why these are companies, so therefore companies are responsible. You talk about Coca-Cola's plastic pollution. You talk about people becoming more aware when you talk about it, but that's all. And you never really elaborate upon it. And then you end your speech there. I think there's just so much more you could have done in terms of your positive argumentation, because of which you're able to take down the points coming in from government, but you're never able to essentially, tell me as to what is the positive matter. I think though that comes down very late in the debate, in the second and the third speaker. So it's really preferable that you give me a lot of that idea coming in from your speech. For the deputy speaker, I have two pieces of feedback. Firstly, I think you should respond a lot more. That is, if the LO has responded towards the Prime Minister, then it becomes your responsibility to respond as well, right, Saisha? Which is your responsibility to then tell me as to why the rebuttals coming in from leader of opposition don't stand. So protecting your first speaker is extremely important, right? That response should be. Secondly, responses for their ideas that came in from the LO. Why does Coca-Cola's plastic pollution probably is not as important as the amount of pollution people are doing? This is extremely important for you to clarify before you can go on to tell me that we can ignore companies and all. So I think at a point at which you don't do that, then the debate is still slightly within their favor, right? So I think responses are extremely important. The second is
in Prisha's argument, she was basically speaking from our side.
Prisha spoke after you. I'm talking about the speaker who spoke before you. You rebut them, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you should have
but then Prisha said that she said.
I'll just complete this. So yeah, Saisha, you should have focused a lot more on rebuttals and telling us why the argument doesn't stand. The second thing that you should do a lot more is, so when when you spoke about as to why certain companies are becoming eco-friendly, I think that argument stood because rebuttals to that argument weren't there. But in a general debate, I don't think that would stand. The reason it wouldn't is because, sure, you prove to me that Apple and Tesla are becoming more eco-friendly, but does it mean that all companies are becoming more eco-friendly? Corporations as a whole are becoming more eco-friendly? Not really. Like, why would I then believe that companies in India are becoming more eco-friendly? Like that's a link that you never establish, and that's a link that people can attack on. So generalization is something that you do a lot within your speech. I think a little less of that, right? And giving me more general reasons as to why there is a general trend of companies becoming more eco-friendly would work. So the way that I would perhaps do that argument is to just talk about why generally a lot of, let's say, the consumer market is now on the internet. And therefore, they're a lot more aware about the cultural issues, the social issues, even the climate issues. And because these are the consumers that you're targeting towards, you want to maintain brand image and you want to maintain your company's image. That's why you're able to clarify, like do things like, be more environmentally sustainable. That's the entire reason companies like BMW and Mercedes, who historically, were auto giants who were completely ardent on, combustion engines and petrol and diesel, are now making electric cars. The reason is because they care about the brand image. They care about being electrical. They don't want to be seen as the bad guy. So that's how you can talk to me generally about why companies, are becoming eco-friendly, and not just name one or two, and then probably expect the debate to then go on to like be everyone. The next speaker that spoke is Prisha. I think Prisha, same problem. First thing that you had to do is respond. That argument could have been really easily responded to in terms of coming up with responses. I think you let a lot of responses towards your whip, right? So therefore, this debate became a lot more whip heavy than it should have, where I think a large chunk of the debate happened there. So response is extremely important for you in order to tell me as to why the opposition argument doesn't stand. The second is, so you told me that corporations are becoming more eco-friendly, right? Which I think, like, the idea coming in from you, I get it, but it's a slightly contradictory to what everyone else is saying. So the other people in your room is saying that corporations aren't doing a lot in terms of the environment, that they're polluting a lot, that the Coca-Cola is doing a lot of plastics and stuff, that like Manik's entire speech was about how a lot of paper is wasted, how electricity is wasted, and how all of these things are happening. So then if you come up with an argument and say that, but these corporations are becoming more eco-friendly, to which I will be like, sure, then the problem is solved. Then probably the bigger problem is a place where people are not being that eco-friendly, which is the general public. So you need to think about the implications of what like essentially your argument is. But I did get as to what you were trying to say, that in the end you were like, that sets an example for these other companies. So that's possible. It's possible to change these other companies, but you never spend enough time on it. Like once the POI was there, after that you just said, yeah, and you give me one line response where you were like, but it sets example, and then you left. I think you needed to just clarify a lot more than that. You spent a lot of time repeating that argument that came from the previous speaker, but it didn't spend enough time telling me exactly why that argument is relevant to your side. So that explanation as to how does it set example, why is it important towards opposition's debate, all of that things were really important that you just don't spend a lot of time on. And therefore crediting you for that becomes very difficult. But I do see as to why you're trying to go for it. Maybe next time just a lot more explicit, and that just better use of your time, because you ended your speech at 4 minutes. You could have one for like 3 more minutes. So you could have had a world of time to just focus upon why that argument is relevant for your side.
Yes.
Perfect. Next speaker, Kabir. I generally liked your speech, but I think it was way too short. Like I think like 3 minutes is just not enough. But I think because you speak a lot of like really fast, you were able to cover a lot of content. But please just make sure that you do a lot more rebuttals, right? I think the rebuttals that you did were really good, and I think that's what like in a way decided the debate, because you were able to come up with that rebuttal in terms of like why, let's say, it benefits both sides. Like he's like smirking, I love it. But yeah. So rebuttals are really good, right?
Please speak slowly.
Yeah. So just not speak slowly, but do a lot more of those rebuttals. So you had 2 or 3 good rebuttals, and then you ended your speech. Like that would never look good in a decent tournament out there. Like, sure, right now you can like speak for 2 minutes and 3 minutes and get away with it. But in a proper tournament, if you speak less than 6 minutes, and people just assume that you're a bad debater or that what you said doesn't matter, and they won't listen to you. So always, speak a lot more.
Okay.
Like
So,
have a lot more rebuttals. You're definitely capable of that. Wait. I think my internet is struggling. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, yeah, I was glitching. I'm so sorry. But yeah, as I was saying, just have a lot more rebuttals, right? Listen to exactly everything they're saying and try to rebut most of it. So do not just rebut their argument, also try to defend your previous speakers, talk about what they said, why is that important within the debate, all of that stuff that you have to do. Manik. I think Manik did an excellent job in terms of whips. Okay, I genuinely loved Manik's whip speech. I think you were able to tell me completely as to why, how much damage corporates are causing. I think the reason that you weren't able to win the debate is because you didn't respond to that one argument coming in from Kabir. I think that's what costs you debate in most instances. So while, if let's say that sort of rebuttal wasn't there from Kabir, then I think if Manik's speech was just there, probably they would have won the debate. But because they were able to tell me as to how they benefit a large chunk of people, I think that at a point which you don't respond to that, it becomes very difficult for you to then win the debate, right? That is, you spend a lot of time telling me as to the extent of damage corporates are causing, which I think is really like good analysis in terms of talking about like, it's not just the products that are causing the damage. It's also about the corporates running, right? It's also about the offices. It's also about the paper. It's also all the operational things. I think that's wonderful content, but you also need to focus upon rebutting and telling me as to why their side doesn't make sense. So I think a lot of the argument coming in from your was not rebuttive in like, it wasn't a lot of rebuttals, but it was just like positive, constructive matter. It was like, if you were, let's say if you're a deputy speaker, then probably your arguments would have had, let's say, a lot more weight. But because you weren't using these arguments as rebuttals, then it becomes difficult. But again, I'll do the same, like, let's say the feedback for you. That is, still tell me as to why what you did in the debate and why perhaps it mattered as much. Like, exactly, to continue to rebut the other side, talk about what your previous speaker did, talk about what you brought up, and frame everything as rebuttal. Like, whip cannot bring in new content within the debate. So if you can't bring in new content in the debate, try to say everything like a rebuttal, right? All of those things could have been used as a rebuttal. Don't say them as like positive matter, because in a regular debate that wouldn't have helped you. But I generally think you should, like, as a speaker, you should go as a constructive speaker. So next time when you debate, try to go as the first or the second speaker. I think that's going to do you like a world of good in terms of your case. But generally, really good job.
So,
yeah.
So if I hadn't taken Kabir's POI, so we might have won the debate.
No, not the POI. You should have responded to the Kabir's argument. Like, Kabir said things in his speech, for example, in terms of like to how they affect the both, like how it affects both sides, and you didn't rebut that. You didn't respond to that, and because you didn't respond to that, I have to buy what Kabir said, because I get no response inside opposition telling me as to why that argument is not true. So by default, I assume that it's true, and that's why they win. Get it, Manik?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In terms of the reply speeches, I think those were excellent speeches, right? For both the speakers. I think you guys did a really good job in terms of telling me as to what exactly this debate was about. But I think you need to be less about bringing in new content, because I think both the speaker treated it as new content. This is what we brought up into the debate, and less about this is what our team said, this is what they said, and this is why we win. Specifically for Uday, Uday said that, oh, we win the debate because we gave better rebuttals and we gave better arguments. I mean, sure, but like, what specifically were those better rebuttals and what were those better arguments is what you should convince me about. I mean, it's a generalistic idea. Uday isn't here. Cool, we'll not roast him then. But anyone else is going to reply as well. Try to focus upon that. As for the other, I don't think the other reply speaker is here as well. Is she?
No, Samira is also not here, but you could give a feedback. I'll possibly pass it on to her.
The idea is to,
or Saisha, will you take the responsibility of sharing it with Samira?
Yes, Auntie, I'll tell you.
Please.
The whole meeting was recorded, so the feedback that Pritam's giving has been recorded, so you can send it to Samira and then.
Yeah, but then she can also convey it. It's fine. So yeah. In terms of the next reply speaker, right? I think it was a lot more of a constructive speech. So I think if the person would have gone, let's say the first speaker, the second speaker, it would have been a lot more beneficial. But then them going as a reply speaker, this didn't help your case a lot, because it's a lot of new content and not enough of this is what we said, this is what they said, this is why we win the debate, this is why our world's better. All of that comparison in terms of telling me as to why one side wins over the other had to be done in that speech. And it was just missing. So I think if you just focus on that, you should be able to give like say better speeches. But that's kind of all for feedback.
Okay. Anything else, children? Any other doubts you have?
Can you please post the recording of it? I want to see my mistakes. Like my mistakes.
You mean the objectively?
No, he's asking for the recording. He wants.
Recording.
I can see my mistake and improve.
I'll share it. I'll share the recording on the group. You can see that. I'll do that.
Right.
Yeah. And wonderful. And children, Apritam has also introduced you to the tournaments which are coming up. Now the onus lies on each one of you, right? You have to form your teams. You have to decide whether you want to do it or not. And, considering that's what I was, when we were chatting, Apritam and I felt that, you're lucky you have this online medium. You can do it. Even if you're sitting at home, even if it goes into a little wee hours of the night, it's okay. You'll be up for a match. You'll be up
Ma'am,
for
I think I missed that. I think I missed the
You
tournament.
haven't? Oh, you have to share
Yeah,
that with them. Yeah. Would you put that out on the group, please?
I'll put it on the group. So I'll just give you guys a quick overview. There are 2 tournaments that I want you guys to like attend. You can choose one of them. Both of them are happening on the same date. So one of them is in Delhi. It's a university tournament. It's going to be slightly difficult for you guys. So it's up to you because it's a lot more convenient timings. The timing is from 8 to 4 on a weekend or like a Saturday and a Sunday. So it's going to be convenient for you. The second tournament is a tournament in Romania. So it's a European tournament. It's going to be slightly late into the night. So it starts at 6. It goes on to, let's say, 12 or 2 in the night. But it's going to be a really good experience because you're going to have kids from all over the world competing. And it's going to be school kids. So it's not going to have university students. All the motions are aimed at school students. That's a wonderful tournament that you should go to, the Romanian one. But the problem with that tournament is the timings aren't that great. And the reason the timings aren't like that suitable is because, of course, it's a European tournament. So they won't have, let's say, Indian timings. So that's what you should decide. So if you want to go to a convenient tournament with convenient timings, you can go to the one in Delhi. But it's aimed at university students. It's going to be a little harder for you because everyone there is probably going to be a lot more older than you. If you want to go to the Romanian tournament, it's going to be with kids your age. It's going to be with motions that perhaps you will be able to debate better, but the timings are going to be slightly iffy because it's a European tournament.
All right. So children now,
as well,
yeah, please do that. Yes, please, Apritam, please do share the details. And also see when you do that, because I think in the European tournament that Apritam is talking about, there are 5 people that will register, right? Out of which only 3 will be debating.
Yeah. So you can make a team of 5 people and then you decide in prep time who 3 will speak.
Okay. So I'm curious, are you geared up? Are you ready to participate? Get out of this, go out and face the world. Are you ready for it, children? Do you have the confidence? Can you please give me a thumbs up if you do? Fantastic. Nivan, I don't see a thumbs up there. Nivan, are you there? All right. Wonderful. I want a DNI team going forward. Yes, that's wonderful. And Apritam, in case they ever have a problem, can they approach you in case when they have a build-up?
My WhatsApp number is on there on the group itself. Just text me whenever you guys want.
Yeah, you might get the reply next day, but he will reply. Yeah. I promise you that.
I will reply.
Well, we also have to congratulate Apritam because he has got through a program at Stanford. So children learn from him. He's actually training a national team for debating. Nepal national team is under his mentorship, and he is preparing them for the World Championship, which is coming up in July. He himself is a second-year student, second year or third year now, Pratim?
Second year.
Second year at DTU with the prestigious college. He is doing multiple internships, and not only that, he's also going to be doing a course at Stanford. So this is like incredible. He has so much in his plate. And besides that, he was also doing DNI. So we are lucky to have you, but children, lots to learn from Apritam, not just in terms of the debating he's told us, but it's also that children, this is your time, this is your age. Either you use this correctly, because what is the most valuable thing is your time that you have. If you use it properly, efficiently, you will discover what you enjoy, and there you will be able to excel. So go and explore more interests, and we want you to do well. Okay. And Apritam, you have to help me with the debating club. I really want to take that forward.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, wonderful. And we will not see you next week unless and until now you approach us that you need help. We are not coming to you. We'll be waiting in case you need help, and your team should go forward. So one of you should take the onus of forming the group, sharing the link of joining the group in case they are interested in participating in the tournaments, and then you let us know if you need help. So now the onus is on you, and we'll also, Apritam, one more thing. If you come across any tournaments, this group will be alive. Please post the link here, because to begin with, they also need links. So please share the details with us, and I think that's one thing that we'll look up to you for a bit longer till the time these kids are open. And if you children come across any tournaments, please share it. So we will not be closing this group here. Okay, this group will stay alive. Okay, And thank you so much, Apritam. Okay, everybody, Apritam, can you turn on the camera? I just want to take one.
Oh no, oh no, this is the part I hate. Turning on camera. I try to cut my own hair, okay, because I was tired of having the long hair, and now I just look really bad. Like I have a botched haircut.
All right, let it be. We like it this way. You've chosen a very good DP in any case here. Okay, I'll just take a picture. Thank you. Manik, can you please take that the picture here?
I'll take the picture. I'll take the picture. Yeah, Nivan, can you turn on your camera? Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Done.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I got it too. All right, bye-bye. Bye, children. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie.
Thank you, beta. Thank you, Apritam. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Pritam.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.